sometimes you just need to disappear. And that's what we're going to talk about on this episode of Wonderful Life. Why being scarce can increase your value. Hi, I'm Mary Ditman. I'm an award-winning business professor on the collegiate level and the creator of College on Fleek and One-Derful Life. Wonderful Life is my way of describing how it feels when you've made peace with being single. I know there are women out there who say like, I don't want a man, I don't want a relationship, but I'm not one of them because I do want a man and I do want a relationship, but I'm well over 40 and that hasn't happened for me. And for a long time, that was really a source of sadness because my definition of a fulfilled life includes being a wife and a mother. But I got to the point where I said, listen, the singleness doesn't seem to be changing, and I just want to be happy. And that's what Wonderful Life is about. It's not about getting to a place where you don't want to be with anybody, and it's not about just resigning and giving up and figuring out how to be alone. It's about creating a life where you're happy and you're at peace, because that's usually what will attract your Mr. Right. But even if he never shows up, you're happy and at peace anyway. All right, so a principle in economics is called scarcity. And scarcity tells us that things that are rare frequently have a higher value. And why is that? Because for the most part, we want what we can't have. This is why, for example, you're not willing to pay a lot of money for a bag of potato chips. Why? Because potato chips are not rare and special. They're everywhere, literally everywhere. You can get them on Amazon, at a gas station, at a fast food restaurant, in a convenience store, in a grocery store, Walmart, everywhere. You can get potato chips everywhere. But the Starbucks pumpkin spice latte, they only have that available for a certain amount of time. And the reason Starbucks does that is because if that pumpkin spice was available all the time, it wouldn't be special. What makes people go crazy for that pumpkin spice latte is the fact that it's only available during a certain window of time. I mean, you might like the caramel macchiato, but you don't go crazy for it. Now, as women, we think that men will value us if we're just always there for them. We're just always available. So if they call and say, hey, what are you doing tonight? And you're like, well, I was going to go out with one of my girlfriends, but what do you want to do? Or nothing. Then we think, well, that will let them know how much we love them, we're there for them, or, we're not running around on them. But men are hunters, and they enjoy the thrill of the chase. Now, I live in the Deep South, and a lot of guys around here are deer hunters. And when it's deer season, these guys, I'm talking at 4 a.m., not getting up at 4 sometimes, in the deer stand at 4 a.m., okay? And they'll sit there from like 4 a.m. until 6:30 a.m. in the deer stand. And in case you've never seen a deer stand, it's just a platform on stilts. There's nothing there, like maybe they have a thermos with them if they want to have something to drink. And they're just sitting there waiting for a deer to come by. Now, during that time when they are waiting for a deer, they're going to see like 87 squirrels. But they're not shooting at the squirrels. Why? Because squirrels aren't special. Sorry, squirrels. Squirrel! I mean, listen, they would rather leave that deer stand empty-handed than come home with a bag full of squirrels. I mean, if any man posted on his Instagram, hey man, I didn't get a deer today, but I shot 13 squirrels, people would think he was ridiculous. I teach at the university level, and one thing that my male students are always complaining about is that, well, these girls, they're just like, they're hanging out all the time, like I can't get rid of her. Like, seriously. So a lot of times they meet a girl in class, so they're in class together, and like she'll want to sit next to him, and then she goes and hangs out in his room constantly, and he's like, dude, like I can't do anything, I kind of wish she'd go away. I dated a man for a while, and we were actually living together, which I don't recommend, but we were living together and we worked at the same company. And I remember one night he looked at me and said, hey babe, do you have any work trips planned? And I was like, no honey, just staying here with you. And he was like, oh, that's a shame. And I was like, what? And he said, well, whenever we first met, you were like involved in your own stuff. You did volunteer work. You were out with your friends. You traveled a lot for work. And now, you're just kind of here a lot. And I kind of need to miss you. And that was really eye-opening for me that, see, as women, if our person isn't with us and we miss them, that doesn't feel good. Like, we don't want to miss our person. We don't want to be away from them. But ladies, men equate the feeling of missing you with the feeling of being in love with you. As women, we like consistency. We like that constancy of our family and our friends being around us or being available. Like, maybe you're not with your best girlfriend every day, but if you texted her and she didn't answer you for 3 days, you might be like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? Well, when you're always available, you're like a potato chip and you're not special. So you don't want to be like this basic groupie who's just available all the time, because then you're not special. I mean, if you're always available, like you always text him right back, you always answer the phone when he calls, you're always available at the drop of the hat to do whatever he wants to do anytime, then how special are you? You're not special. Plus, you obviously don't have a life. Now, you say, well, then why do guys ask for dates last minute? I don't know. Sometimes they're bored. Sometimes they think, and they go, oh, it'd be really cool to see her tonight. Sometimes they've just been trained to do that by women who don't know what I'm talking to you about right now. See, as women, we think it's mean if we kind of pull back a little bit. Like, we're not available at the drop of the hat. We're not hitting him back on the text right away. We think, well, I'm being mean. But you know what? Men kind of like that. Why? They're hunters. They like finding something unique that no one else has. And look, I'm not talking about playing games. I'm not talking about playing hard to get, okay? What I am talking about is having a life and genuinely going out and having a life. Like, you have things that you're doing. You have friends that you're involved with. You go out and you do stuff. I know sometimes I've had men who will say, like, what are you doing tonight? I'm like, well, I have plans. Or they'll text me, and I won't text them back because I'm working or I'm at a yoga class. And then later on they'll say, like, oh yeah, well, what were you doing? And sometimes I'll say, well, I had plans, or I was at yoga class, or whatever. It depends on how well I know them. But it shows them I have a life and I have interests. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of times when I've had men ask me out last minute and I say I'd love to, but I have plans, almost always they say, I knew it was last minute. So they know that if a woman is high value, she's probably not available at the drop of a hat. And you can check this theory because, have you ever noticed that the guys that you don't really like are the ones who are like, you can't get rid of them? You kind of ignore them and you blow them off and they're always chasing you. Yeah, that's why. Because you're the girl they can't have. And go back to economic scarcity. We want what we can't have. When you're not readily available, that means that you are unique and you are special. And men value that. For one thing, most men value loyalty. So they know that if it's hard for them to get your time and attention, it's probably hard for other men to get it as well. But secondly, men really enjoy finding the thing that is rare. Okay, so maybe it's a custom luxury imported vehicle. Maybe it's that deer with the 12-point horns or whatever that they're hunting for. Maybe it's a special jet ski or boat. Things like that are part of how men measure their success and how they demonstrate to other men how successful they are. I mean, men will work hard and they'll dream about having that luxury car. Most men are not staying up late dreaming about a Prius. Like, no offense, okay? Prius is a great car. But I'm just saying, if you ask any man over the age of 40, what is your dream car? He's not going to say, Prius. He's going to tell you some luxury, import, expensive vehicle. And a lot of times, what we do as women is we say, well, I just want to prove to him that I'm really loyal and I'm there for him. Like, maybe his ex-wife cheated on him, and so I just want him to know I'm not out running around. So anytime he wants anything or he wants me to be around, I'm just going to be available all the time. And then you find yourself really being devalued and possibly disrespected by this guy. Why? He knows. You're just there. You're there for him, and he doesn't have to do anything special because you ain't going anywhere. You're a potato chip. And this really goes back to a key difficulty that men and women have, and here it is. Ladies, we think men are just women, like that are hairy. And then men think women are just super emotional men. And we don't always realize, like, we are so very different, and that is hardwired into our biology. I knew a guy one time, and he had asked me out, and I did want to go out with him, but I was really dating a lot at the time, and plus I had my own stuff going on. And he was like, what are you doing tonight? And I said, well, I have plans. What are you doing this weekend? Well, I have plans. And he said, okay, when are you free? And literally the only time I had free was like, well, 2 weeks from Sunday at 4 p.m. And I really thought, and I wasn't playing a game, like legit, that was what I had available. And I thought, he is either gonna laugh in my face or he is gonna roll his eyes and walk away. But I just said, well, got a lot going on right now, like 2 weeks from Sunday at 4 o'clock for coffee. And he was like, really? Okay, awesome. And I was like, okay. And he kept following up. He's like, okay, 2 weeks from today, right? Okay, a week from today, right? Okay, this Sunday, right? 4 o'clock. I was like, man, this is crazy. Because he saw that my time was valuable and rare, and he wanted some of my time. Probably something else. Listen, you don't want to give up your life when you meet a man, and it's totally normal. As women, that is what we tend to do. But then a lot of times men feel really smothered, and we don't really understand why. Well, it's because you're always around. I mean, no man wants potato chips all the time. So, get scarce is what I'm saying. Go do things that are exciting. Go out with your girlfriends. Go on a trip, either with your friends or by yourself. Get involved in something. Have some stuff to do that doesn't depend on him. I'm going to promise you, if he starts to miss you, he will value you more. Now, it is hard to feel valuable at all if you're suffering with a broken heart. And if that's you, you might want to check out our ABCs of Healing. It's a free video program we've put together to just help walk you through heartbreak so you can get over it and move on. And if you go to bit.ly/ABCs of Healing, we'll send that out to you right away. Wonderful Life is a dialogue, not a monologue, and we want to hear from you. What do you think about being scarce? Also, let us know. What are some things that you're struggling with in your singleness that you need to hear about? Because we want to produce content that's valuable for you. You may want to go to wonderfullife.com. We post a new blog there every Friday. You might want to join our mailing list. Plus, we have lots of cute merchandise there. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on Wonderful Life.